Okay, cool. I think we can get started. So welcome to the 8th community call. We're gonna have a look at some of the stuff that we're working on. So yeah. So the things that we're gonna look at is what's happening over with Maker, what we're doing with Parachains. We've started to work on our investor onboarding for the Tinlake UI, which should make it much easier to onboard. We'll go over the bounty, and then we'll have room for any questions. So, great. So I'll hand this off to Lucas because Lucas has been pretty involved here. Are you on the call?
Yes, hey. Yeah, so a quick update on Maker. As everyone here probably knows, we're working quite closely with them on bringing actually our pools to Maker as collateral. And so how this works is like our asset originators, instead of having investors invest directly in these pools, can go and basically draw from a line of credit from Maker. And I think we have now over six proposals in sort of Maker's official governance process, which I'll very briefly summarize because it is quite complex. But sort of the way Maker approaches governance is like we have this collateral onboarding process where if you are interested in bringing some sort of collateral to Maker, you can sort of fill that out and petition the community to discuss it and ultimately vote on it. And so after first sort of sentiment voting, so that this is sort of the green light, then these collateral types go into sort of a prioritization, and then the DAO starts working on assessing the risk, assessing the sort of the economical risk, assessing the smart contracts, assessing basically building a system for the oracles, and then coming up with the different risk parameters that are like collateralization rate, ratio, and interest rate. So like the stability fee that Maker charges. And so once all of that is done, basically these oracle assessments and smart contract assessment, the risk assessments, then there's an inclusion poll, which is sort of the last like on-chain voting that is used before it goes into an executive spell. The executive spell is then what actually modifies the Maker system to support this new collateral type. With Centrifuge being one of the first real-world assets, with our Centrifuge assets being some of the first real-world assets, there's a bit more that we have to do than just simply adding another ERC20 token like Kyber or Uni to Maker. And so this process is a bit more involved, but we roughly follow the same process. And we have actually New Silver and Console Freight are in sort of in the very last stages, and New Silver's, and this is the screenshot you're seeing here, got voted on January 5th to be included, which means now the last step for them. And as you can see, the result was a very strong yes. So the last step now is actually to have the Maker DAO smart contracts team to basically develop the code that will then put this collateral type in action. And so that should happen anytime soon. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to predict what the engineering timeline and sort of other things that of course could happen will influence, but we're very excited actually to see one of the first assets to go live with Maker soon. And one important thing, and I think that's really sort of what is taken sort of our first one obviously much longer, is like both Maker and Centrifuge and New Silver, we're all doing this for the first time, of course. The second, the third, the fourth, the fifth collateral type will obviously be a lot quicker, as we can mostly hopefully copy and paste a lot of the work. When I say we, I'm talking about both Centrifuge and Maker. Maybe just like one interesting thing to see, if you're like curious about Maker and sort of also how our asset originators interact with them, like a lot of our asset originators that are using Centrifuge go on their community call and present what they do, what the assets are like. Fortunify actually was on yesterday's call. They're usually on Wednesday, I think at 6 p.m. European time. And maybe actually maybe we could post a link to Fortunify's call. I think it's a very interesting format to like learn more about these different assets.
Yeah, so essentially New Silver is kind of like paving the way for the first real world asset to be used as collateral in the Maker ecosystem. So yeah, this executive vote, the final vote, and like Lucas was saying, this has been going on for months now, going through all the due diligence. This should be happening as soon as what we stage in Kovan in Maker's testnet.
No, so I mean, what's happening now is the executive spell is getting developed and then deployed in Kovan, and that's going to happen in the coming days or weeks. Don't quote me on any dates though. But yeah, so as soon as that's progressing, I'm sure we'll hear an update from the Maker smart contracts team.
Cool. Yeah, so I think Console Freight is next in line, right? In this pipeline. Someone's asking about, Christian's asking about.
Yeah, Console Freight is next. So Console Freight, so Console Freight's basically behind New Silver. The reason they're doing that is just the technical assessment and all that work is just going to be, as I mentioned, a copy and paste. So all of the individual risk assessment for Console Freight has already happened. Once we have the template for New Silver on the technical work, then I expect this to happen soon after.
Yeah, and then maybe just for anyone super new here, what we mean by real world assets is like, so New Silver uses real estate loans. Like DAI right now, it's backed by Ethereum or the BAT token or a few other crypto asset fungible tokens. But what we're trying to do is also, well, what like New Silver is trying to do is use real estate loans to back Maker. So cool. I guess we can move on.
Yeah. Hey, Damian, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. You said it's a bit fast. If you have any questions, feel free. If any of that was not clear, happy to re-elaborate again. So just let me know if I should go in more detail on any of that.
I think this is the only slide we have for Maker, right? So I would say if anyone has questions on the Maker progress and what Lucas just went over so far, feel free to ask that now, and then we'll move on to the next bit. Okay.
Even Maker governance is extremely complicated. So I tried to summarize it, but even myself, every time I'm interacting with it, I have to make sure that I don't get any details wrong. The joy of trying to build a DAO and figuring out how that works along the process. I think we've all got still a bit to learn, but we'll do a better write-up once actually this is live, that will explain sort of how it all works. Peter, you asked about the amounts involved. So the Maker risk team proposed a debt ceiling of 5 million for New Silver. So that means they can add about 5 million in loans to their pool. Console Freight, because they're a little bit smaller and a less established business, Maker said they want to start out a little bit smaller, it's 2.5 million. But also they have the option to start growing that as they're starting to use more and more of it. I mean, Maker has massive amounts of liquidity, right? There's quite a bit of DAI that we can generate with real world assets that they're happy to take. So I expect, as like both of these are like sort of first pilots that are kept very small just to like get some experience, and then we're as this grows, I'm sure also those debt ceilings will grow continuously.
Do we have any blog posts maybe we can link in here for like absolute beginners? Maybe we can drop that later in case anyone's interested to start diving into what this relationship between Centrifuge and Maker looks like.
Cool. Yeah, we can add something at the end. It takes a precursor of understanding Maker to understand this.
All right, so now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit more about parachains and like sort of a general overview of what our strategy might look like for that. So just kind of like taking a step back and taking a look at Centrifuge. So I think we've said this in a bunch of these calls before, but we really do see Centrifuge as that next stepping stone for DeFi. So then as Centrifuge is bringing on these real world assets that Dylan has mentioned, we're bridging them over to Ethereum with what Lucas just mentioned, Maker as an example, a great example there. And in the future, we hope to bridge to even more chains like Akala or Celo. And Akala is also another project in the Polkadot ecosystem. And Centrifuge Chain and Akala were both built on Substrate. And that means that we can plug into Polkadot, the Polkadot relay chain for the security, so that Centrifuge Chain doesn't have to provide that security itself. And so the way that Polkadot allows that to happen is through parachains. So there will be a finite number of parachain slots. Hold on, I'm just moving the chat out of my view. And Polkadot hopes to start that number super low at their genesis of introducing parachains. They have not introduced parachains on Polkadot yet or on Kusama yet, which is like Polkadot's experimental cousin. And what they have released is Rococo, which is the parachain testnet. So Centrifuge is technically ready and waiting in the queue to join Rococo. And that's, again, that parachain testnet. And we've also started working on a pre-Rococo sort of test environment that we hope to allow the community to also use going forward. We still need to wait on some details for that, but we will announce that once and if that's ready to be shared. But that's basically what our status is in terms of being parachain ready. Basically, everything is in line and just waiting in that queue to jumpstart that process. So then the way that the parachain auctions will look going forward, so Polkadot says this is coming directly from their documentation. They've said that these parachain auctions will be unpermissioned and market-based leasing of the slots in the form of auctions. So we currently have no idea what those auctions are going to go for, but they will have a finite lifetime where projects can bid on the slot for lengths somewhere between 6 months up to 2 years at the maximum. So that's sort of an overview. This is an image, maybe it's a little bit complicated, but this relay chain that represents Polkadot, or in the case of a testing chain, could be Rococo or Kusama. And those chains have their own validators, and then Centrifuge would be a parachain, and our validators would then become collators. So we plan to bid on a slot of 2 years, and we plan to raise dots that will be locked for that slot through a crowd loan. That's what Polkadot is calling that process now. So it would be like a parachain loan offering is some of the kind of shorthand that you'll see maybe in blog posts on Twitter, things like that, abbreviated as PLO so far. So we will be rewarding RAD for dot that's locked for the parachain slot. And then validators on Centrifuge chain will become collators. They'll still get a small block reward, but it won't be as high because they won't be responsible for the security of Centrifuge chain anymore. And that means that they won't have as high of slashing risk. So because of that, there doesn't need to be as much of a reward for the validators. And instead, that reward is going to be going to those that lock DOT in order to secure that parachain slot for Centrifuge. I think that's everything I have on the parachain slide. Maybe I'll stop there and see if we've got any questions so far.
Yeah, let's wait to hear about specifically for the parachain, and then I see a question more related to Tin Lake, and maybe we can answer that after. We have one here actually.
So to get on Polkadot, you don't need to go through Kusama first. You do need to go through Rococo first. Rococo is the testnet that's specifically to test parachains. Kusama hasn't even implemented parachains yet, and it's not necessary. We may still go on Kusama first, or maybe at the same time even as Polkadot. We haven't decided on that yet, but that would be more for experimentation. It's not required. The parachain loan offerings, we will definitely announce that as soon as we have information on that. I'm sure you could also check different platforms, listing platforms out there. They will definitely be loud about parachain loan offerings as soon as they become available, but nothing has gone live yet. So that's why you haven't really heard about them. Polkadot hasn't launched them, and they plan to launch them in the coming months, but we don't have a specific timeline there. I don't think that we've thought about Avalanche at all so far. I don't think it's something that we're against, but we've definitely focused more on Polkadot for now, potentially looking at chains like Celo first before we look at Avalanche. Yeah, Damian, can you guys maybe link where you heard that you have to go through Kusama? Because that's not true. So I'm not sure where that misinformation is coming from. So there will be a public sale of the RAD token, as well as a parachain loan offering, and those are two completely separate things. The public sale for the RAD token is for people that want to purchase Radial, and the parachain loan offering is specifically to raise DOT that is locked, and that'll be locked for a period of 2 years. We don't get access to that DOT. That stays in the user's control. They keep possession of that DOT, and you get Radial as a reward for locking up that value for those 2 years. Thanks for that link, Matt. So he just sent a link of an estimate that Equilibrium made for what they think a parachain auction might cost. Let's see if there are any parachain questions that I missed.
Yeah, and Matt, I also saw your question about hiring, and we can answer it at the end of this, and we can also talk any token sell stuff later.
In terms of the timing, with Matt, your question on being listed on exchanges before the PLO, it's super hard to give any indication on timing there because one, we don't have a confirmation yet on the RAD sale, and two, we don't have confirmation from Polkadot on the parachain timeline. Hopefully we'll get all of that information sorted in like the next couple of weeks. At least from our side, we should probably be able to give some information in the coming weeks on Radial and the public sale, but on the parachain side, it's super tough to say because we don't really get a lot of info from Polkadot on that. Let's see. Do we want to answer? I think there's like a bit more complex question in here.
Yeah, related to to Tin Lake. I don't know, Lucas, did you see that? Do you want to? or Martin also replied here. I don't know if do you have anything to add, Martin, there?
Sorry, what is the exact question? Can you say that? Can you repeat it?
It's a little bit up in the chat. It says, yeah, let's say we would like to do a bridge loans regarding real assets in India. In the current situation, we will have a problem with the INR and the USD exchange rate fluctuations. So is there any plan to make Centrifuge accessible to fiat, where those who invest in the pools and the company using the pool are located in the same country, avoiding this the currency problem?
Yeah, I mean, Martin already answered this in the chat. But yeah, we need a rupee-based stablecoin to be able to settle loans. Other pools have like hedged exchange risk, but obviously that's costly. So it depends on the exact financials if it makes if this makes financially sense, right? So it's either that you can try to hedge in sort of with like an exchange with an FX for a foreign exchange broker, or you'd have to use a rupee-based stablecoin.
I think along those same lines, though, that's an issue that we faced, for example, with euro-denominated assets, right? So it's not just the rupee that we would face that issue with, it's just having stable coins that are stable compared to different currencies besides the US dollar, which I think we definitely want to be able to support other types of stable coins. When we might be able to get to supporting something like the rupee, I mean, that's unclear and probably based on demand for rupee denominated assets. But it's definitely something that we would be interested in supporting long term.
Okay, should we move on? Another one.
On the Parachain auctions after 2 years. So actually, I think you can bid on a rolling basis every 6 months. So what we would be able to do potentially is in 6 months, bid on the next 6 months after that end of our 2-year slot. It's a little bit complicated how Polkadot set that up, but it at least gives us enough heads up that like we would have that 1.5 years in case we, didn't win that slot to figure out the next steps there. So that's one way that we could potentially do it. Otherwise, I mean, the worst case scenario would be, after those 2 years, bidding on the next 2-year slot. In the case that we didn't win a Parachain auction, the 2 backup options that substrate-based chains have are one being pair of threads, which is a much simpler process. It basically means you don't have this continuous connection to the Polkadot relay chain, but every so often can submit transactions to the Polkadot relay chain. Or you can just provide your own security. So then the collators would shift back to being validators and providing that security for the chain. So there are options there, but the ideal would be to be able to renew that slot going forward. Cool. Now, the investor onboarding UI, who's that? Is that you, Dylan?
Yeah. If Dennis or Jerome is here, I think it would be great if they can.
Yeah, I can say a few words if you can hear me. There we go. Does it work? Sorry,
Yeah.
I can hear you.
I had to escape my my study. My kids discovered an old, very noisy toy. I hope it's not too noisy in the background for everyone. Yeah, so this is a bit of a preview and announcement, and just showing what we've been working on with the engineering team. So as you guys know, with Centrifuge and especially Tin Lake, we're bridging real-world assets into DeFi, and while this does allow us to exploit the potential of DeFi, we also need to make it work in the real world, and this requires a legal structure underlying the SPVs where the assets are pledged to, and this also requires investors to properly onboard to invest in our pools. And this includes a KYC process and also signing a subscription agreement with the issuer. And this process has been rather cumbersome so far for our investors. And we have now been working really hard on integrating this into Tin Lake and providing an automated solution that will allow investors going forward wants to have a much smoother, better user experience, and also do this in one go now. So this here is actually from today, one of the most recent screenshots, and we're in the last stages of finalizing it. Still a few bit of testing to be done, but we're confident to ship this within the next 1 or 2 weeks, and most likely also then we'll give a full preview and demo of how this is going to work for investors in the next community call. And yeah, I really get really excited about stuff. This is something I am excited about. So it'll be a huge step to make the overall user experience for our investors much better. Yeah, that's it.
Nice. Are there any other questions on TinLake or like the onboarding process maybe?
Do we have any TinLake investors on here? Cool.
Yeah.
How's it go? How is the process so far? Yeah, it's gonna be a lot better.
Yeah, just to summarize that, there's obviously, yes, securitized part can be improved. Yeah, that's not only on securitized. I feel the KYC works fine, but also how it's integrated, right? And how we guide you through the flows. This will be much better within TinLake. I also see a few questions about country supported. So this will also be accessible and be shared going forward in the documentation, and will also go into details there, which countries are supported in the next call. There are some countries depending, so every pool has or may have a different regulatory environment, and depending on this, they may have different countries that cannot invest in this. So this is rather difficult to answer now here, but we'll share that in the documentation once this ships, so investors know okay, why they can't invest and in which pools they might be able to invest or not invest. Yeah, so I see it's pool related. Yeah, so some countries unfortunately are, because most of the SPVs underlying the pools are located in the US, and some countries are generally sanctioned or excluded from investing, but it may also depend on pools, depending on how they treat withholding tax and other things. And then I see here. Yeah, I agree. Investing as US accredited investor is not so simple. This will hopefully be better soon. And the question I see from M. Vernon, perhaps send us a message to one of our support channels. We have a support email, support@centrifuge.io, or contact us on Telegram. This is not related to the onboarding, but after investing, I'm happy to help you out there and get you through the flow.
We also have a Discord channel too for TinLake.
And this as well, yeah.
Yeah, so lots of channels for support. Hopefully we can get your question answered there.
Thanks, guys.
Dylan, can you drop a link to the Discord maybe? We'll get that link to you in this call. Any other TinLink questions? I'll circle back then, Matt, to your question on information for validators who might be migrating to becoming collators. So it looks like we'll be able to use exactly the same staking palette. So hopefully there aren't huge changes there actually. The main thing that validators will be made aware of as soon as it happens is the chain upgrade, the runtime upgrade. But we'll give plenty of advance notice of that before that happens. And then we'll also share details on how those changes might be affecting validators once we have that information. TM just asked a question, not sure if we have an answer there, on manual assistance to get accredited investing help.
Yeah, on that. So perhaps then wait for the new flow. I hope you won't need assistance there. Hopefully, that's what we've been working on, right? It's supposed to work seamlessly for you guys without too much hassle by yourself. If there are questions, I said we have several support channels. Just ping us there, and we're happy to guide you through. But usually, we'd like you to at least try it yourself. And if this all works as we hope and expect, that shouldn't be a problem, hopefully. Yeah, I'm sure we'll share what's the best way to find out when this is released. I'm sure we'll share that on our, like, if you follow us in the Telegram group or on Twitter, I'm sure you'll hear it. And I said there will also be a community call probably in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks on this to introduce this feature and show you how this all works.
Awesome. All right, I guess we're good to move on to the next part. So the next part I want to hand off to Ash, if you're on the call.
Hey guys, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, to talk about the bounty rewards.
Sweet. Well, first of all, thank you for everybody that participated in the program and also for your patience while we figured out the distribution. So we had 320 submissions in total, and in total we distributed 1,740 rad, and all the winners would have received an email notifying them. We had many entries that were deemed ineligible. So there's a few reasons this could be. It could be that your post was off topic, or if it was just simply fishing for likes, it probably wouldn't have made the cut for the bounty program. Or if it was simply just not adding value to the conversation. Really, this is what we intend discourse to be, to promote meaningful discussion. And really, that was the intention of the bounty program as well, and why we hosted on Discourse. But we will be extending this program onto our new Discord. So I encourage everybody to go check out the new Discord and join that, because we'll be hosting something different on there, and we'll have some cool new prizes on that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Ash. I wonder if we have any of the bounty reward winners on the call too.
Yeah, the emails would have went out already.
Yeah, lots of winners. Awesome. Yeah, this was just our first sort of experiment with bounties. So we hope to keep doing this going forward and probably have a new spin on it in the next iteration. Awesome. Meme hyped, nice. Okay, so we'll just open up the floor now to any other trailing questions that you might have.
I wanted to bring up maybe hiring. I think on the call we have 2 new hirees on the team, Helena and Kate, who have just joined on the comm side. Helena working more with growth, and Kate with ecosystem. I wanted to maybe if I put you guys on the spot to say hello.
Hey guys, yeah, definitely put me on the spot here. Yeah, happy to be a part of the Centrifuge family. I'm going to be helping on the growth side, as Dylan mentioned. I've been in crypto, working in PR on the PR and event side for the last 4 years. I'm also a co-founder of the Department of Decentralization. Some of you might have already heard of it. Centrifuge have been quite active with some of the East Berlin events that we organize. And yeah, happy to be part of the team.
Thanks.
Cool, thanks Dylan. Hi everyone, I'm Kate. Super glad to be here with you all. I'm coming in to help with community building and ecosystem strategy. My background is in building off-chain apps for decentralization, decision-making, and extremely simple budgeting, one called Co-Budget and one called Lumio as part of a cooperative of a freelancers collective. Yeah, I've worked in the past with DAO Stack in the ecosystem, and I'm really super curious to talk to a bunch of you about what's really drawing you to this project, what gets you excited, and how we can build some more like small groups of people who share the same interests across the different users of the protocol and the DApp. So great to be here. Thanks.
Thanks for that. And Dennis, maybe, or someone on the engineering side, want to give an update on hiring, or?
Yeah, nothing. We can't say. I mean, Lucas can also probably say more of this. We can't say any or can confirm anything. We are working really hard on this and in the final stages on some jobs. So if you guys are interested, also head to our job board, looking for a UX designer and several engineering positions. So our progress with some, but still looking for more. So if you know anyone, please recommend us or apply yourself. Happy about every application we can get.
Yeah, I mean, maybe to add on this, right? Like you heard about all the cool stuff we're working on. There's a lot of Rust, a lot of Solidity, building DApp front ends. So if this is your cup of tea, you want to join and like work on sort of helping us fulfill our vision of bringing these real world assets, these businesses into the world of crypto, then yeah, I'd love to have you guys have all of you apply. Yeah.
Damian, we're working on like revamping the documentation. Hopefully that makes it easier for you to understand.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of information out there. I don't know if you've checked out, we have a YouTube channel with a lot of videos. Discourse has links to all of the past community calls. And those are videos and presentations. We also have a Medium blog. So I'd highly recommend if you're just getting started out with Centrifuge and learning about us, those are some really great resources. And we do hope to streamline that information for those like you just getting started.
Yeah, I think it's also worth adding up until bringing Helena on board. We've been very developer focused in building the product, so we haven't had a lot of support on building content. So now we're gonna have more space to do that. So I think we'll have a lot more easier information to digest coming soon.
I think we can probably link that YouTube channel. Not sure if someone has that accessible, but we can drop that in there. Yeah, we just started the Discord channel. So feel free to jump in there and ask questions. I don't know about this Avado node question and Avado support.
So I think Avado is building like dedicated node validator hardwares, right? And I think they have some way to sort of run many different blockchains in with their solution. I'm not familiar enough about it, but I mean, if they want to work with us and supporting Centrifuge, of course, that's something we'd love to support. We'd have to talk to their team though about it. But please I mean, if you want to connect us and sort of talk to them about it, happy to help as well.
Cool.
Okay.
Any
Yeah. It's, um,
I mean, I will say Centrifuge is a more complex product than like an AMM or, you know, the really typical DeFi projects that you see everywhere. And the reason why you see, you know, 10s, 20s of them is because they're straightforward, easy to understand, and also easy to replicate. And Centrifuge is just a little bit more complex. It does take a little bit more of an effort to fully understand both the product and also the potential. So I'm really excited that at least some of you, I mean, all of you have joined this call and trying to learn more. So I'm excited that you're making that effort, and hopefully we can make it even easier to understand going forward. And someone want to take M. Vernon's question, the future goal of onboarding assets, and if you see any kind of partnership or synergy with centralized finance.
I don't fully understand the question. Yeah.
The RAD rewards are going to continue for investing in new pools. We are planning on putting up a proposal on Discourse for the next iteration of the RAD rewards. So look out for that. We will announce that on all the channels once that goes up, probably sometime next week. And then we'd love to get your input there on the next iteration of RAD rewards for investing in Tin Lake pools. So that is continuing, and we'll be putting that on Discourse, and would love your input. Let's see, does anyone know about Blockstate, Denexity, and Cometum? Apparently they're tokenizing real world assets.
I never heard of them, but I think people normally will talk about persistence when they talk of competitors.
Well, we look into them. I also haven't heard of them, but we will definitely look into them now.
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. Thanks, Martin, for the YouTube channel. So there's the link in case someone wants that. So on the token sale, we don't have any confirmed information yet. And you will definitely hear about that as soon as we know. Yeah, so just keep calm and hold on, as the bot says. And we will post that on all channels as soon as we have information for you. Thanks, Fabio. Cool.
Okay, I think we're good. Could wrap things up. I'll post this on YouTube and follow up and see you all in Discord or Telegram. But
yeah, definitely keep
Discord because we started
going there.
Yeah.
We're always reachable. Thanks everyone for joining.
Cool. Take care.